students, so this was one of your exit tickets for multi-step equations. This one says find the value of x that makes the equation true. So my first step here would be to put the line down the middle and then cover one side of the equation and see if I can simplify it. So let me find something to cover. Here we go. So right there, I cover one side and I see the expression on the left-hand side, and I decide that these two are being multiplied, and multiplication comes before addition or subtraction. So I need to distribute that. I need to use distributive property. You can draw your arrows and distribute, or you can use a tabular method on the side and distribute. So I'm going to do the tabular method. Remember that the sign in front of the number goes with that number. So that would be -5. And then we have 2x and -9. Then we multiply. -5 times 2 would be -10x, and -5 times -9 would be +45. What's inside the circles is what I write. Remember that 17 is there, like hanging out on its own. It's not being multiplied, so it's still there. And then I'll write whatever I have inside the boxes here with my tabular method of distributive property. Okay? So now I'm going to ask, well, is this already simplified all the way that I can simplify it? And here I notice that I have like terms. So these two constants right here are like terms. So then I'm going to go ahead and put them together by adding them. Since they are both positive, I'll just add. So 17 plus 45 would be 62. And then that -10x is still there. And the 62 is positive. Okay? So now this side is simplified all the way. Now I can move to the other side. The other side, I notice that, oh wait, there is a negative and a parenthesis. So if that's the case, I know that there's a 1 there. Okay? And I have to multiply this part first, either by distributive property or the tabular method, which is the box. So I'll draw the box here on the side. And I have -1, -6x, and +10. And then I'll go ahead and multiply. -1 times -6 would be +6x. -1 times +10 would be -10. So I'll write what I got from the box, only the inside the circles, 6x minus 10. And then this -4 is over here, so I'll just write it down below. Okay? With that, I ask if they're all simplified. Is this simplified all the way? And then I notice that I have these two that are constants that are like terms. So I'll go ahead and add them together. This is a negative and this is a positive, so I have to subtract and keep the sign of the largest. So this is 6x and this would be -6. Okay, once I do that, I can now have my two sides together. And then here is where I will decide what side will be my constant side and what side will be my variable side. So I'm going to decide that this is going to be my constant and this is going to be my variable. It doesn't matter which one you decide, you will get the same answer, you just have different operations. So if this is my constant side and this is my variable side, this 6x, that's a variable, it's in the correct side, but this -10x is in the incorrect side, so I got to move it over. When I'm switching sides with constants and variables, I can only add or subtract, okay, by using the inverse, because I'm moving the whole product, 6x, not just the 6 or not just the x. So here I want to move this 10x negative over to the variable side, because it is a variable. So I'm going to do the inverse of -10x or -10x, which would be +10x. Again, because I want to move the whole product here. So this zeroes out, which is what I wanted. I bring the 62, ignore the announcement. And what I do to one side, I'll do to the other. So then here, I would have both of them are positive, so I can combine them because they are like terms, they're both x's. So I will have 16, I can add them together. And then that -6 is still there. Okay? Here I can treat it as a two-step equation, or I can remember, hey, this is my constant side over here, and that -6 is in the variable side, so it's in the wrong side. I got to move it over. So I do inverse operation, which would be plus 6. So this can zero out. And I'll do the same thing on the other side, plus 6. So I will have 16x and equals 68 over here. Now I do want to undo this multiplication, this 16 times x. I want to undo it so I can have x by itself. Okay, so then my following step would be the inverse of multiplication, which is division. So if I'm going to do the inverse of times 16, I'm going to do divide by 16 to undo it. And I would do it to the other side as well. So that would be my answer, 68 over 16. An answer in fraction is perfectly acceptable, but it has to be simplified all the way. So these two, like, could be divided by 2, for example, because they're both even. So you can start there. And I would have 34 divided by 8. And then I notice that they're still both even. I still can divide by 2 one more time. And then I would have 17 over 4. So 17 over 4 is a perfectly good answer. Okay, or you can also leave it in mixed number, which would be 4 and 1/4, or in decimal 4.25. Okay, so either of those is correct.